Thanks, Nina. On BBC London, the mother's preparing to take legal action over a local landfill site which has caught fire more than 100 times in the past 5 years. Hello and welcome to BBC London this Wednesday lunchtime. I'm Alice Salfield. A group of local parents says it's prepared to take an East London council to court over recurring fires at a landfill. The site has caught fire multiple times in the past few years, sending acrid smoke towards nearby houses. The campaign wants to challenge the council after it decided not to designate the rubbish dump in Rainham as contaminated. Layla Hayes reports.
Plumes of smoke fill the sky as yet another fire burns at Arnold's Field in Rainham. The landfill site near to homes and schools has caught fire more than 100 times in the last 5 years, and local residents say they've had enough.
It is predominantly just the smell. It's the overwhelming smell, the burning smell.
Sonia Singh has to keep her windows closed each time there's a fire, and says she worries about the long-term health effects.
I'm asthmatic, my youngest child is asthmatic, so yeah, just worry about how that's affecting us. And it's got to a point now that we're really actually considering moving.
Campaigners say they're now prepared to take Havering Council to court after it decided not to designate the land as contaminated. If it had, it would have had a legal duty to clean it up.
Havering Council say they can't comment on possible legal action, but have told us they regularly monitor the air quality here and point out that the land is in fact privately owned.
But those affected say this is a health emergency.
Nothing's been done in all this time. So thinking about the fact that it's an emergency, thinking about children, thinking about clean air. I mean, breathing is one of the most fundamental needs we have, and it should be a right for everybody, and not just a few people, depending on where you live.
Campaigners say legal action would be a last resort, but while the fires continue to burn, they feel they have no choice. Layla Hayes, BBC London.
A memorial stone dedicated to a police officer who was shot and killed on duty has been unveiled exactly 4 years after his death. Sergeant Matt Ratner, who'd served nearly 30 years in the Met and was nearing retirement, was murdered by a suspect at a custody centre. His family were at the ceremony in Croydon, from where Thomas McGill sent this report.
A memorial service for a hero and a friend, with traditional Maori singing and tributes from Sergeant Matt Ratner's son Luke, himself a serving police officer in Australia.
This line of work is like any other. We face dangers, challenges and stresses that few outside the force can truly understand.
Sergeant Matt Ratana's partner Sue called today a celebration of his life, his courage and his contribution to helping others, something his friends from East Grinstead Rugby Club would agree with.
The word that kept coming through for me was inspirational. He certainly was an inspirational character.
There was a massive hole that was left after Matt departed. But one of his intentions was to start some local community programmes to help people at the local schools get more involved in rugby. And the foundation's worked tirelessly in making that happen.
It's one personal to me as one of Matt's friends, and I'm one of many who, as was said earlier, whose lives Matt has touched throughout his service, and also through sports as well. It's a sombre day, but a perfectly worded service.
This marble memorial will now be moved to outside the custody suite where Matt lost his life 4 years ago today, a reminder of his sacrifice to many others. Thomas McGill, BBC London.
Next, parents in South East London are campaigning to save a not-for-profit nursery which has been serving their community for 40 years. The St Andrews Centre in Brockley, which also hosts playgroups, sports and drama clubs, has announced its closing on Friday. In a letter to parents, the Board of Trustees said it was mainly down to an increase in running costs. Chris Slegg has more.
Where are you going, little brown mouse? come and have tea in my treetop house.
Mum Sharon, one of dozens of parents in a corner of South East London, inconvenienced by the sudden closure of a nursery and community centre.
Finding reliable childcare for 2 children on no notice in London at the start of the school year, it's been a real bombshell for us. We have been able to find somewhere for some of the times we need, quite a distance away, about double the price, with some gaps in provision still. It's impacted my work, my partner's work. It's been really quite difficult.
The centre is run out of St Andrew's Church in Brockley. The community centre's been here for 40 years and in recent times providing not just this non-profit nursery, but after-school clubs, a pensioner club, sports clubs and drama clubs. But as things stand on Friday, this gate will close for the final time. Parents are angry with the charitable trust that runs the centre.
We received an email at 5:30 p.m. on a Friday, 2 days before the beginning of the September school term, to say that it would be closing with 30 days notice. The staff were just as shocked as we were.
I'm really disappointed that the Board of Trustees for this charity has failed to engage with any of the parents who've reached out to them. They have given us 4 weeks' notice, and 4 weeks' notice to these staff who've been here for decades, I think is actually astonishing that they've treated people like this.
The trustees haven't responded to our request for an interview, but in a letter to parents at the end of August, they said the primary reason for the closure was increasing costs of running their services, which has placed an unsustainable financial burden on the centre. Lewisham Council says it's contacted the trustees to offer business support and will help parents find alternative childcare. There seems little hope of a last-minute solution to keep St Andrews open. Chris Slegg, BBC London.
This afternoon, BBC Radio London will be honouring some of the Londoners who've gone the extra mile to make life better for others. For the 3rd year running, the Make a Difference Awards will recognise special people from across our city in 8 categories, including the Volunteer Award, the Carer Award and the Great Neighbour Award. Anna O'Neill has been to take a look behind the scenes and speak to the hosts Eddie Nestor and Gabby Roslin ahead of the ceremony.
It's the highlight of the BBC Radio London events calendar. It's the 3rd annual Make a Difference Awards. Rehearsals and preparations are underway at the moment. Let's come up on stage with me. We've got BBC Radio London legends as our hosts, Gabby Roslin and Eddie Nestor. Gabby, what are the Make a Difference Awards?
Oh, this is to celebrate the people who really do make a difference. I think it's the most aptly named awards ever. It's about the people who do something for others, and we're allowed to now say thank you. Give them a huge hug and a round of applause and get to know about the work that they do.
And Eddie, what can we expect today?
Well, laughter and tears if last year's is anything to go by.
We've got tissues down there.
Absolutely, we've got just so you can see tissues there on the ready, because we've done this before, don't you know? No, it's the very best of us, right? And you encourage people to come up, and for many of them, they wouldn't have wanted and they wouldn't have expected recognition, and to have a moment where what they do is being celebrated by their local radio station is a beautiful thing.
It is, absolutely. And I will be bringing you all the latest from the Make a Difference Awards on tonight's BBC London News at 6:30 on BBC One.
Well, good luck to all our amazing nominees for this afternoon. Now here's Kate with your weather.
Good afternoon. This unsettled weather continues for the next couple of days at least. We have got some more rain this afternoon, heavy for some, approaching from the west and the south as we make our way towards the rush hour and the commute, so it is going to affect that. Temperatures 16 Celsius. Of course, this rain today is falling on ground that potentially flooded over the weekend and in the earlier part of this week, so could add to the disruption and make it worse. Now that will clear through this evening overnight, drier for a time, then further showers developing, minimum 10 Celsius. For Thursday, there is still quite a bit of cloud around tomorrow. Further showers expected, temperatures somewhere between 16 and 18 Celsius. Then from 5 o'clock on Thursday, the Met Office has a yellow weather warning in place for yet more heavy rain, valid through to 10 a.m. on Friday. Now, there's some uncertainty as to where the heaviest of rain will fall, but if it falls on ground like today that has already been flooded, it is just going to make it worse and add to the disruption. It's colder by Friday and drier for the weekend.
Head to our website for much more, including the video of the refuse workers who had a lucky escape after their lorry exploded. Now it's back to Nina with the rest of the BBC News at 1. Bye-bye.